Alright guys, do another Q&A. So I'm going to pull some questions that I got from my Instagram. This one is from Carlitos Fitness Way. What signs do you use to tell if cortisol is an issue towards the last 2 to 3 weeks of prep? What are some key signals? And then to add to this, Garth Malgus says, and to expand on this, what would be the best way to address the problem and get it back in check? If you recommend any specific products, please go into why you recommend them and how they work. Well, obviously, you guys know I'm going to go to my product, of course, cortisol. But first, back to the original question, what are the signs to look for? I think it's almost inevitable that anyone in a rigorous contest prep is going to experience a teetering effect in cortisol. Obviously, cortisol going up with constant physical stress, and then once the physical stress sets in, that leads to lack of sleep, and that leads to anxiety thinking about your show. And then that can hinder your work atmosphere, family atmosphere, then that's emotional and mental. It's like a whole chain reaction, and cortisol is kind of a killer, and it just inevitably does creep up. Now that's not for everyone. Everyone's response to stress, their fight or flight response, is different. Some people are very even keel. Some people handle and deal with stress amazingly. Their adrenaline, the way they pump out norepinephrine, all that stuff, they're just very even, relaxed dudes. Ronnie Coleman was one of them. That guy was a police officer, and he even admitted that he just never really stressed out. NPA athlete, gentleman I trained, Terrence Ruffin, he admittedly does not stress out. He admits it. We had him right before the Olympia. He had an issue where his jaw locked up, and he had some muscle issue in his jaw. We couldn't carb him up correctly. It was the night before the show. No stress. He was calm, cool, and collected as he could be, and he handled it fine. He never held water or anything. Some people are so stressed that you will see the effect on their physique almost immediately. For his water retention, they become insulin resistant because whenever cortisol is high, you actually don't respond well to glycogen uptake or glucose uptake into the muscle. So you actually you start having gluconeogenesis, where amino acids start breaking down for fuel, raising your blood sugar. It's a very bad cascade of events. So how do you remedy that? Well, besides supplementation, it would be obviously to take a step back and look at your training protocol. Some people with contest prep, and I'm guilty myself many times, you overdo it. You overthink and you want to overdo things. You want to do HIIT cardio, not just 3 times a week, 4 times a week. You start doing it every day, twice a day. And I'm not talking about HIIT where you are like moderately going off. You're going crazy HIIT, like the true HIIT, where you're taxing your central nervous system. And that's what I've done. I messed up a lot of preps where I overdid things, and I would overdo the HIIT cardio where I was driving myself into the ground, like crushing my immune system, etc. So you want to know how to take a step back and really look at your prep, really look at yourself in the mirror with pictures, and know whenever you can toggle things. Ease back on the cardio. Take a break from cardio for 2 to 3 days. Lower your volume on weight training. Add in steady state. Cycle in HIIT. Little things like that. You need to be mindful of it. Sometimes you're just so pedal to the metal, you can't really look at yourself that way. That's why you sometimes need a coach or a wife or a best friend to take a step back and look at you from their perspective. Now, as far as products, adaptogenic herbs, ashwagandha, schizandra, rhodiola, bacoba, magnolia bark, all those things can help you adapt to stress and help you bring balance to your adrenal system. Now, I'm going to mention there is a product that I remember, like 11-oxo, converted into 11-ketotestosterone, and I believe it deactivated the 11-beta-HSD enzyme, and it deactivated the 11-beta-HSD enzyme, and once you deactivate that, it actually stops or halts cortisone into cortisol. So cortisone is inactive cortisol. It's inactive into the active cortisol. It blunts that process, it deactivates it. Basically kind of like inactive T4 converting into T3, it stops that process. So the 11-oxo prohormone or DHE isomer, whatever you want to classify it, the nomenclature, I'm not sure, but that was out for a while. 7-oxo, which is actually in Vaso 7, has, I believe, that 11-beta-HSD deactivation property too. And then of course cortisol, guys, which is my phospholipid, which is phosphatidylserine powder. And that basically doesn't crush cortisol, it optimizes it, puts it in a very healthy, normal range. You don't want to crush cortisol. Back in the day, you know, a lot of guys would use a Cushing syndrome drug called cytidrin, and that would shut down everything. Androgens, estrogens, cortisol, put everything in the gutter where you're almost like a corpse. You don't want to do that because then your immune system crashes, you're lethargic, and you're just off balance. So you don't want to have too low cortisol either. So CORTISOL by MPA Supps, of course I'm going to pimp my product because it does work, testimonials are all there. People feel better on it, less anxiety, calmer, it tastes delicious, so it's very good to taste just by mouth. So yeah, whenever you're depleted of phospholipids, because they store in your cell, you obviously deplete those through stress, let alone the rigors of pre-contest dieting. You're gonna have a lot of stress. You're gonna deplete glucose, amino acids, and phospholipids. Then whenever you replenish the phospholipids in the form of cortisol with phosphatidylserine, 800 milligrams, you replenish that, your body gets balanced again. And that's whenever you start reaping the benefits of better sleep, maybe a lower millimeter pinch on your abdominal area, all that good stuff. So guys, what you need to do is take control of your prep and really take a step back and try to look down, outside looking in type of approach, or have a person do that for you. And of course, look into supplementing with the herbs, the adaptogenic herbs, as well as MPA cortisol, which is phosphatidylserine, Serenade, which is the patented brand name, and 800 milligrams above clinical dose. And of course, if you can get your hands on the 11-oxo or 11-keto testosterone to block the 11-beta HSD enzyme or deactivate it, that can help too. So there you have it, guys.